Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down. Down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise
Accountability
together.
starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up. Stand up, shouting loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Eric Dawson Radio Show. Kevin Jenkins is out today on assignment, and Diane L. Murray Clements will be joining us shortly. I want to, there are a host of things that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some national politics. You got the New Hampshire primary today. Which is going to be a very, very interesting occurrence, given the fact that they still haven't delivered all of the numbers out of Iowa. We're going to have conversations about local races, down ballot races here in New Jersey. We're going to talk about a recent law that is now going to require landlords to expedite giving information to their tenants regarding lead in the water. And we've got some pop culture stuff, a whole bunch of stuff to get going. I'm not sure, Diane, are you ready?
I'm ready. How are you?
All right, well, let me bring you
Good
on
morning.
air. There we go. I mean, you went and got all your hair stuff done. So I just want to make sure that we have you in full display for the viewing audience. I'm doing well. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I am, 5 days out from vacation. I feel fabulous. I got a desk full of papers and stuff I need to start moving and putting in the appropriate place. But other than that, I'm good.
So listen, when you go on vacation, who handles your business?
Well, I have somebody that comes in and handles the business for me, but mostly I have a off-site company that I subcontract with, and they filter the phone calls and stuff like that. But usually vacation for me, I'm still working. So I usually just allocate a few hours out the day, the 2 or 3 hours that I just do some work, and then the rest of the time is really vacation. So I'm still on when I'm off.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur / working in corporate America all my life, right? I've had several businesses, and finding vacation time is difficult. You've got to be organized, right? And then you've got to be able to delegate, and the delegating part, was a little, challenging for me. And so with me trying to juggle 3 different businesses now, or business entities now, actually 4. Jeez, 4 different business entities and running for Congress. Diane, people said to me, Eric, you just got finished battling, with this whole cancer thing, and, you've got all these things going, but hey, look, what can I say? So,
well, that's every reason to do it, because now you feel blessed. You like, I got time, let me stop wasting time doing what I shoulda, coulda, and just do what you need to do.
Absolutely.
So mind. Yeah. Why not?
Absolutely. So, but yeah, so I'm glad you're getting away. Where are you going?
I'm going to Madrid.
Uh-oh.
What's
Who are you going with?
It's a mommy-daughter trip, so my daughter and I are going.
Okay. And you guys do this every year? I mean, not Madrid, but you do mommy-daughter trips?
Yeah, every year we do a mommy-daughter trip.
Where'd you go last year? Oh, wait a minute. You went to Paris last year, didn't you?
We went to Paris last year.
Yeah, yeah. See, I remember.
Good. And we have an awesome time, because my daughter is actually a great traveling buddy. Mm-hmm. We cocktail, we go to museums, because she loves museums, so we visit a lot of museums. We hit a couple of the nightclubs, go to a lot of restaurants, and we sleep.
Okay. So now, what does your husband do? Daddy-son trips with your son?
No, we do family dinners once a month with everybody. He has not done that, and then we do family vacations that they never come on, because they don't like to go where we go, because we like to go and really take it down and relax. So
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh no, I'm lying. He he doesn't officially call it father-son. He does the father-son trip, and they go to his alma mater is Morehouse, so they go to the Morehouse homecoming every year. That they do.
Okay. So listen, there are a couple things to talk about, and I don't know which order in particular you want to talk about them, but we have to spend some time talking about how absolutely evil what's going on with Bloomberg and the Democratic Party really is, and how it is, and we talked about it, Diane. We used terms like oligarch. We used that a year and a half ago, right? We talked about oligarchs. We talked about the fact that we have no government. We talked about the corporation white supremacy. We talk about all of these different things, and you now see them all unfolding, literally before your very eyes. You see it all unfolding, and they're unashamed about it. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, between Mike Bloomberg and the $300 million that he wrote to the DNC before he entered the race, the DNC deciding after saying that they weren't going to change the rules, changing the rules for Mike Bloomberg, and then all of these leaks that are coming out that the DNC is conspiring with all these other candidates to torpedo Bernie Sanders. We talked about this too months ago. Kevin and I laughing and joking about the fact that they were going to wind up with a contested
primaries.
Contested primary, and they were going to, take it to the convention floor, and it was going to be a knockdown, drag out, and the Democratic Party was going to implode. But we talked about it, and we laughed and laughed and laughed, right? Now they're saying very openly that it may very well be a contested primary. You know,
Absolutely.
that they can't find anything. And then you've got Chuck Todd now, coming in, and making incendiary comments about Bernie Sanders supporters, liking them to Trump supporters. So you remember in 2016, they called the Trump supporters deplorable. They called them violent and vicious. They called them bullies. They called them all of these things. And now he likened Bernie Sanders supporters to brown shirts or the supporters of Nazis. I mean, it is bananas what's happening. And then Chris Matthews on television, right, is putting out this narrative that there's going to be violence in the street if Bernie Sanders wins. I mean, what's happening, Diane? I mean, we talked about an uprising in the servants' quarters, but there's something happening in Master's house too.
Well, what's happening is they're starting to understand that the black vote is not shifting the way they wanted to go. They thought that black Americans were going to be behind Biden. Then Biden started to fall off. And if you watch in the last couple of days, now they're pushing Buttigieg, saying he's the one who won the Iowa caucus. He's in the lead. It's a narrow lead between him and New Hampshire caucus because they don't want us to vote for Bernie Sanders, no matter how many supporters Bernie Sanders may or may not have from the black Americans. They know that is a big chunk that they need to support their candidate. What they also understand is even when Bernie Sanders conceded and gave his support to Hillary Clinton's people did not turn around and say, I'm going to support Obama. So people have to pay attention to how the shifts of the language of the media is happening to keep them out of the loop and not paying attention. I mean, even with Bloomberg, I read another article. He's talking about he's giving more money to various organizations, like $15 million to various organizations for their support. He's basically buying.
He's buying our democracy. That's what he's doing. He's buying the democracy. Listen, you've got a party, Democratic Party, that talks about getting money out of the election, right? They say, we got to get money out. We got to get money out. We're going to fight against Citizens United. We need to get money out. We need to have more publicly funded elections. Now that it benefits those people who are being primaried by more progressive folks, people who are getting pushed back by Americans who are part of the 99% who are suffering, they say, forget this whole thing about getting money out. Hey, we're welcoming Bloomberg in, especially if he's saying he's going to give $10 million to the... They said, to hell with our principles and our values, right?
Like, what were we thinking?
Yeah, what were we... duh.
We want some of that Bloomberg money. That's what it is. They want that money.
But you know what, though?
What they say, money talks, BS walks.
But Diane, this is exactly what I'm saying about the fact that we need economic and political power, right? Because they're understanding that in order for them to have whatever kind of fight they want to have now, they looked at the enemy, and the enemy for the Democratic Party are the voters.
Yes.
Trust me, the enemy is not the Republican Party. The enemy for the Democratic Party right now are Democratic voters who have not bought into their BS. And so now they're waging war against you, and they need money, and they're calling on billionaires, and they don't care. They're going to do whatever they can to put down the uprising that is taking place in the servants' quarters. And that's why we need money, right? So,
so they're fighting hard. I mean, they're going after Sanders. Even poor Warren, she's losing on her fight against Trump. And people are starting to move away from her. So it's going to be very interesting to see, once they finish this New Hampshire primary voting, what the numbers are going to look like. Because they're saying that Sanders and Buttigieg, this person that we talked about who is the devil, Buttigieg is the devil, came out of nowhere, out of South Bend, who had so many problems in South Bend, racial issues with black people, even while he was on the campaign trail, didn't go back to fix the issues there. But now all of a sudden he's pulling up in the primaries. I don't buy that.
But understand this. See, I've been watching this. Hey guys, listen, hit the share button because I'm gonna lay it down for you. And Diane, listen, say what you want to say. From 2016, when I said that Donald Trump was going to win, I was right then. The way that things are shaping up now, I've been right so far. So tune in and listen to what it is that I'm trying to say to you. So,
Absolutely.
Buttigieg, right, Buttigieg is bilingual politically. And what I mean by that is he is the foil to Bernie Sanders, and he at the same time is the option to Joe Biden, right? So he comes in saying that he's a progressive, but touting a lot of the centrist positions, and so he's kind of pulling from everybody, right? And the establishment, like I told you, they have Elizabeth Warren there, and Elizabeth Warren is pulling votes from Bernie Sanders, so she's siphoning from Bernie Sanders. Buttigieg is getting getting a few votes from Bernie Sanders, but he's really the guy that people are juxtaposing to Joe Biden, and they're saying Joe Biden's too old, Joe Biden's this, and so if we're not going to go with Joe Biden, who are we going to go with? And when they looked at all of the other candidates, they couldn't go with. They're not going to go with Yang. They're not going to have an Asian guy. They're not going to go with Steyer. They weren't going to go with Corey. They already had a black president. They weren't going to go with Kamala, right? Tulsi Gabbard, she's too radical, wanting to stop these damn regime change wars. How dare her? Hey, how dare her go against the military industrial complex? And then you've got Amy Klobuchar. Now, see, Amy tried to cloak herself. She tried to, say, Bernie and I are friends, and Bernie and I have co-sponsored some things, and Bernie and I have done so. So she tried to be on that progressive side, because she realized that she couldn't just come straight down the centrist line, because Biden was there and Buttigieg was there, and now Amy is kind of caught in purgatory. So
that's a good way to put it.
So Amy's in political. She's in political purgatory.
Far from heaven, but this closer to hell.
Oh, she's real close. Yeah, she's closer to hell than she is to heaven. Trust me. Trust me. But so these two states, the game, guys, the political game for the Democratic Party in these two states was to try to diminish the power and influence of Bernie Sanders. That's all it was about. It was all it was about. They knew that they weren't going to win Iowa. They knew they weren't going to win New Hampshire. And so they said, let us try to just limit the lead. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm telling you, because what Biden is hoping for, man, he's saying, man, let me just hang in there till Super Tuesday. Let me get down there with those old black folk down in South Carolina. Let me get down there with Claiborne and his fish fry and all of those black reverends and pastors and bishops and deacons and deaconesses and the cornbread and black-eyed peas.
Let me tell you something. If Buttigieg thinks that Bible Belt area is going for him.
Oh, no, it's not going for him.
He could forget it.
Listen.
He could forget it.
Diane, but no, Buttigieg is done. His only job was to limit the votes in Iowa and in New Hampshire. That was it. That was it. Beyond that, he can't do anything. He won't perform in Arizona. He won't perform, in South Carolina. He's going to underperform in South Carolina. But he's done his job. His job was twofold: limit the votes, create confusion in Iowa, have Bernie come out of Iowa without getting the big bounce from winning it, and then going into New Hampshire, and then limit his votes there in New Hampshire as well. So between Buttigieg and Elizabeth Warren, both of them, played the devil's role in doing that. Right now, like I said, Biden and the Democratic Party, they believe that those old black folks in South Carolina are going to pull through for Biden. That's it. Do you know how many people Biden had at his rally yesterday in New Hampshire? Like the night before the primary?
How many? I saw pictures, and the
100.
pictures were astronomical.
No, he had fewer than 100. Biden had fewer than 100 people. The former vice president.
I'm I'm trying to figure out in the
Wait a minute.
national
Did you hear what I just said to you, Diane? Diane, I got more people in my family.
How was it that somebody was able to heckle him and his wife go down into the audience to handle that?
Diane,
how does that
Diane.
even happen?
He had, listen,
Son.
he had few enough people that ambassador could have catered it with their chicken wings. I mean, 100 people. So what does that tell you? What does it tell you? And so the Democratic Party has just put their hands over their ears and they said, doesn't matter. We're still going with this guy. Now, meanwhile, in Iowa, you had Donald Trump, 15,000 people. He's running uncontested. He had 15,000 people at his rally. Now, you know who had 7,000 people at their rally? Bernie Sanders. So now, if you were really trying to put somebody up there who had enthusiasm, who had a crowd, who could go toe-to-toe with him, if you looked last night, you looked at what was produced last night, what are we talking about? You know,
I'm telling you, it's crazy. Bloomberg has spent so far $350 million on commercials and ads.
Oh, it's crazy. And you know what, Diane? Not only is the Democratic Party, the National Democratic Party, not saying anything about that, right? But none of the other Democrats, local Democrats, or the Negro Whisperers or slave catchers are saying anything about it either. I want you to understand, nobody's saying, wow, this is horrible. But I'll tell you, and see, this is why nobody trusts either party. Because if it was the Republicans doing it, you'd have every Democrat talking about how awful it is.
What they said in an article I read, they said that there's good reason for people in the other campaigns to fear him because of the $300 million that he spent on ads. It's nearly twice what Tom Steyer, who is the billionaire and the second largest spender in the race, has spent. He's also nearly 10 times what Sanders' campaign has spent in advertising. He hired 2,100 staffers in the last month, dwarfing the extensive operations that Warren and Sanders took nearly a year to assemble. All this money has been aimed at the states voting on March 3rd for Super Tuesday.
Right.
About 1/3 of the delegates to the Democratic National Convention will be awarded at that particular time.
Right. And you know what? And this is exactly why none of the Democrats are saying anything, because they're looking at all of this money and they're waiting to get their hands on some of it.
But you know what? That's how local elections work as well. Sometimes the Democratic Party doesn't always support the candidate that their first choice. There's always sometimes person in the back wing that will pull up with support, and they'll jump ship and support that person and make that person feel like we've been supporting you all the long. This is the people's choice. But that's not really how it works. But Bloomberg is strictly out there to buy people's votes so he can get the black vote, because they know how valuable our vote is. But people better stay awake and remember, stop and frisk affected everybody's family.
Well, listen.
I can't think of one person who has not been affected by it.
But Diane, listen, I posted this headline, and I'm telling you, guys, trust me, offload from MSNBC for a week. Do this for me. Don't turn off MSNBC, CNN, C-SPAN, NBC, all of those, Channel 7, Channel 4, Channel 2. Turn them all off. Turn on Fox News for a week. I'm telling you, turn Fox News on for a week. Now, there's a lot of craziness going on Fox News. But one of the other things that's happening on Fox News, though, is they're exposing what's happening in the Democratic Party when the Democratic Party is trying to conceal it. So, you understand what I'm saying, Diane? So they have no love for the Democratic Party, so they're going to expose it because that's not where they get their money from. So if you continue to watch these Democrat-funded news organizations, you're not going to get the truth. Now, I'm not suggesting that you're going to get all of the truth from Fox News, because you're not. Because, I mean, it's a horrible, what is it? It's like an alternative universe. I literally, I got to watch it on my upside down, Diane, because it's hard to orient myself. But what you do get are investigative reporters who are really trying to expose what's happening right now within the Democratic Party. And they're doing a great job at that. Here's a headline coming from Fox News. It says Krystal Ball, and you got to know who she is. She used to be on MSNBC, but she was too woke for them, right? But she says the Democrat establishment would rather have 4 more years of Trump than to see Bernie Sanders elected. Now, didn't we say that? We said that on this show.
Absolutely.
That the Democratic Party would rather have, so no matter how much they're telling you, stop Trump, stop Trump, stop Trump, they would embrace Trump. Meanwhile, they're telling you to be 100% loyal to the Democratic Party. But we talked about that too. Remember, right here in New Jersey, guys, when the Democratic Party, which is telling you to be loyal to the Democratic Party, threw Barbara Bruno under the bus. They didn't give a damn about a Democrat. They embraced a Republican. Now, that same Democratic Party that tells you to be loyal to them, I want you to see the hypocrisy. That same Democratic Party that tells you to be loyal to them, right, is now taking money and is loyal to a guy who used to be a Republican before he was an independent, and now he's a Democrat paying for his election in the Democratic Party, and that be Mike Bloomberg.
And he was a Republican as well.
That's what I'm saying. He was a Republican. Yeah, he was a Republican. He was endorsing Rudy Giuliani, right? He was backing Rudy Giuliani financially. He was endorsing and backing John McCain financially, and he was comfortable being a Republican up until the time that the Iraq War became an issue.
Right.
And when the Iraq War became an issue, he jumped ship and he became an independent. And he stayed an independent until such time that he thought it was convenient for him to be a Republican. I mean, to be a Democrat.
So listen to this article from Fox News. They put out an article and the headline reads, New Hampshire primary voting kicks off with Sanders and Buttigieg locked in a fierce battle. But they go into it and talk about how in Dixie-Ville Notch, which is one of the areas where they're going to be voting at, a surprise candidate came away the winner. Former New York City Mayor Bloomberg, who did not campaign in the state, scored 3 write-in votes, followed by a vote each for the former South Bend Buttigieg and then for Bernie Sanders. After that, then Amy came out ahead of the other 2 locations. Can you believe that?
Yeah. But listen, let me read this. This is from Fox News again. And this is Krystal Ball. It says the Washington establishment's main goal in every election is to retain their access to the levers of power and not let otherwise unaffiliated candidates like Sanders take the access away. Now, I'm going to say that again. So this is not about Sanders. It is about them wanting to maintain access to the levers of power, or as my British people say, levers, right? But to maintain access to the levers of power. So they want to be in the inner circle. They want to be amongst the powerful. They want to be the ones negotiating the contracts for their siblings, for their loved ones, for their friends and neighbors. They don't want to give that power up. It has nothing to do with governing. Has nothing to do with doing the business of the people. It has everything to do with them wanting to be in power. She further says, these are the people whose power comes from their access to the establishment world. Consultants whose grift is based on a certain deal flow from the DNC, etc. And they know who said about their I don't understand what she says. Who says about they prefer Trump over Bernie. That's exactly right, because they know under a Sanders administration, all of that access and all of that deal flow, all of that is gone, and it is truly over for them. So their idea, so what they're looking at, and I hope this is clear to you guys, they want to stay in the in crowd. They want to stay as influencers. They want to continue to live deliciously off of your misery. And they're being told that if their guy loses, they're going to be out. Right? Not out because they want to help pass legislation to empower you economically and politically, but out because they won't be able to continue to feed off the public dole. So I mean, this is what's really happening, and then so their investment of 300. I mean, how much did you say that?
350 million in advertisements.
Come on, people. But you know what, Diane? Listen.
And I was just reading an article the other day about the breakdown of the top 1% in the entire country. And they talked about in the United States, to even be a part of that, you have to have an annual income of over or close to $750,000 a year annually to be a part of that 1%. So if you're not doing that consistently, annually, you should be fighting for your life, because what they're doing, and even Trump has already started to roll out part of his budget on some of these other, what they call socialist cuts that they're making. And you talked about it yesterday, cutting Social Security, cutting the SNAP program, the food program across the federal state, cutting back in other welfare, social services and stuff like that. So the people who are not making $650 annually a year will be affected. That's everybody else. That's 99% of everybody else. I don't understand how people are not paying attention, how they're trying to steal this election again.
Diane, I mean, it's crazy, right? They tell you, look at my left hand while that right hand is in your pocket. They tell you, look at the Ukrainians. They tell you, look at the Russians. Meanwhile, the Democrats are stealing the election. And stealing it from the people, and going to turn it back over to the Republicans, and then going to blame black people and Bernie Sanders supporters. I mean, I want you to understand what's happening.
If he gets back in, it's the black people's problem.
It's going to be the black people's fault, and it's going to be Bernie Sanders supporters' fault. Meanwhile, the Democrat, understand what the Democratic Party is doing, and when I say the Democratic Party, I'm talking about every single one of them, from your district leader all the way to Washington. All of them are in cahoots. All of them run the risk of being out because they want to kick them all out. See, the progressive wing of the party wants to primary and challenge all of the failed leadership within the Democratic Party. So they have all huddled together to conspire against you, the people. And the question is, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? This is war. You see, and they don't care. When we talk on this show about the fact that they manage poverty, that they sell poverty propaganda, that they don't mind having these, what does Kevin refer to them as, factories of death that your children go into, that they have no interest in fighting for anything for you. Every single thing they fight for is for them. And you see it. It is happening right now. And I'm saying to you, you got to come out of your houses. Stop locking yourselves in. You got to get in the fight.
Yeah, Trump is also talking about and proposing to repeal the Loan Forgiveness Act as well. So again, that's affecting a lot of people that have gone to college and are overwhelmed with debt and are still living at home with their parents because they can't afford to live anywhere else because the economy is so unreasonable to people like us that, I mean, how many people do you not know that have 2, 3, 4 jobs or 3 and 4 businesses to make it flow?
Right, but I understand you. But again, so I'm reading this headline. This is from theweek.com. I don't know what this organization is, but I want to say this too. As you look at your social media stuff, guys, look at 2, 3, 4, 5 sources, because there was an article that came out that talked about they exposed Mike Bloomberg for spending $150 a person to find influencers on Instagram and on Facebook to say kind things about him. So he's trying to drive this narrative of him being a good guy, right? I'm going to say that again. But see, this is the fear, Diane, of the barbarian within the gate. So some of your family members, some of your friends, some of your neighbors are some of those people who are taking this money to sell this garbage as hope to us.
Right. So I sent you an article specifically on that, and it talks about 5 steps to avoid election misinformation. And it's from the News Literacy Project, and the person who wrote the article was Peter Adams. And he talked about the first thing is to keep an eye on your emotions. Despite what you may think, our relationship to information is more emotional than rational. He said, 2, don't like or share an article you haven't read. So
Right.
stop headline surfing and then sending out articles. Yes, we've all done it, but it's not a good idea to share a link that you've read only the headline to. 3, learn to spot misinformation patterns. Elections inspire all kinds of viral rumors, hoax, and misleading memes, and many of them tend to focus on a few overarching themes. For example, we can go back to when they talked about the plane crash, the horrific plane crash with Kobe Bryant. People were getting misinformation and putting out information that Rick Fox's daughter was on the helicopter, and that was so far from being true. But people had spread the information before they had confirmed the information.
Right.
4, don't fall for deep fakes or cheap fakes, which means we used to be able to trust what we saw with our own eyes. No more. Artificial intelligence is now capable of producing incredibly like-life fabrications such as artificially constructed images of people, deep fake videos in which real people can be made to say something or anything.
Right.
And the last thing is 5, be skeptical, not cynical. With so much misinformation circulating, it's tempting to give into cynicism and confusion to embrace the belief that the other political party can't be trusted, that nothing you see online is credible, and that there's therefore no sense in paying attention to any of it.
Yeah. I mean, we are under attack. But this is, again, something that Donald Trump said, and he was dead on about this, that it's all fake. It is all fake, people. So here's a headline from theweek.com. And again, I don't know what this organization is. And to your point, Diane, somebody shared it. That's how I got it. He shared it an hour ago. Nobody commented on it. And I guarantee you this person didn't even read it. But it says Bloomberg jumps to second place among black Democrats.
Not the Democrats on the East Coast.
I want you to understand that. So, look, you got to be insulted, right? I mean, I hope you are. I hope you're insulted that folks would even bother to try to put this stuff out there. They would think that you're so stupid, that you're so dumb, that you would actually buy that and do what this person did, and you would share it.
Right.
That instead of just stomping out this nonsense, what you do is become a part of the propaganda train. Stop it. Read the articles. Be responsible. Understand what's going on. So a guy like Mike Bloomberg, because of the money, 300 and what, Diane?
$350 million.
$350 million. You don't think that he can buy a couple blogs and then hire writers to write it, and then hire photographers to make his photos look like the New York Times and the Washington Post and the rest of them, and then put out the content that he wants to put out? Come on, people.
I mean, literally, especially with political literature that's put out, those mailers and stuff that go out. I know many people have seen it on a local level. School board elections, council elections. You've seen council people standing next to Barack Obama. They ain't standing next to Barack Obama because they never met the man. But this is how they infuse literature. And you know it, Eric, from doing marketing and campaign literature, how they infuse pictures together to make it look like that you guys were in the same place, and that because y'all were standing together, this person supports me. And it's not always the truth.
Listen, guys. We're under attack. They have no intention, none of them. The Democratic Party, the Republican Party have no intention on helping us get economic and political power. And so we really, really are on our own to get that. And then foundational Black Americans or American descendants of slavery, we're really on our own. We're really on our own. There was a video that came out that resurfaced where Mike Bloomberg was bragging about his stop and frisk. I posted it on my page. I meant to have the video to play on the show. I got caught up doing some other things and didn't do it. But so please go visit my page and you'll see it. But listen, guys, this romanticizing over candidates without understanding what is at stake is of jeopardy, of grave jeopardy to us. This election is going to define so many things. It's going to define so many things. You're going to have, I'm telling you, you're going to have within the next 8 years, 20% of the current jobs wiped away because of artificial intelligence. Gone. You
Absolutely.
think you're struggling now?
You talked about it in stores. I saw it here in New Jersey in South Orange, one of the local grocery stores. They had a robot in there actually cleaning the floor.
Yes.
And in my local ShopRite, they have now eliminated like 7 cash registers and turned them into self-checkouts.
Come on, guys. Wake up. It's all a hustle. Everybody, look, and you know what? And I raised my hand. God, I raised my hand because I used to do it. I used to go around to try to find political campaigns to get on, and I had a particular skill set, to design literature, to take photographs, to write copy. And like I told you, some of the times I would write copy for the mailers that you guys would get, or write the bullet points, and those candidates didn't even know what I was writing. They didn't care. They trusted me to write. If you had asked them what was on that literature, they'd have no idea. And I gotta look, but I'm telling you, I gotta take responsibility for it. And so part of me getting up on this show every day from 10 to 12 is to make amends and to apologize to you and try to right the wrong that I did. But we all have to stop this now. I'm looking at folks, and I'm telling you, Diana, I said this to Kevin, I have blocked and unfriended so many goddamn people because I'm watching it, and they're just like piranha. They don't give a damn. They just, you saw them hop into Cory Booker's campaign. Now those same people are posting Bloomberg stuff because they're just trying to make money. That's all they're trying to do on your back.
Yeah.
But they can't tell you one single way your life is going to change, but theirs will. Because if they get on board the campaign, they'll come on as a consultant with a retainer of $4,000-$5,000 a month to sell you garbage. That'll be their only job, to sell you garbage.
Yeah. They're making money off of your ignorance of not paying attention to what's going on. And many people are still saying, well, that's politics. I don't want to get involved. I don't get involved in politics. But they don't understand. They are the worst type of people out there because they will either not vote or they will vote blindly. And we don't need any more blind voters. We need people to pay attention and to be informed about whomever it is that you plan on voting. Not just because somebody told you to vote for them, but that you have some background and you have done your due diligence about these people.
It's just, I've never seen anything like this before. I've never seen anything like, they just abandoned everything. All of these people who are sitting out here talking about they're for social justice. And you had this guy for 12 years brutalize and terrorize black people in New York. And these people are not opening their mouths.
And it trickled into New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you now, and I'd like to look. See, I'm gonna bite my. I actually have a sore inside of my lip because I bite it so much, Diane, on this show.
To keep saying something.
Listen, guys, come on. We gotta do better than this. We got
to stop paying attention to the superficial stuff that means nothing to us. Like, don't say anything else about the impeachment. It does not matter. Never did matter. Wasn't going to make a difference. They told you from the beginning, we're not putting him out. Stop paying attention to Gail and her nonsense. Don't nobody care about her feeling uncomfortable about coming to work and Oprah crying about her on TV. Don't care. It's not important. Those people are not important. The stuff we need to pay attention to is the stuff that's going to kill us if we don't focus better.
Listen, if you don't want Trump, and I don't want Trump either, right? But I'm not saying that Trump is responsible for my current condition. I'm saying Trump is a product of, and so you have to kill off that cancer cell. But you also have to root out the origins of the cancer, right? Which is the Republican and Democratic Party, right? Which is producing all of it. Mike Bloomberg is a cancer, right? Cory Booker is a cancer.
Look, Giuliani was a cancer, and Trump kicked him to the side. You
Right.
saw how fast that happened.
All of them are cancers. So we but these parties, both parties are producing them. So we have to kick them all out. We have to root them all out.
Right.
We have to root them out. And we have to look for the good cells. We have to find the good cells so that we can regenerate.
It's amazing to me how people bounce from, like you said, campaign to campaign. Even watching Simone Sanders and how she talks about.
You know what? She's a slave catcher.
And telling them to shut up, and she didn't want to hear from black men, and they didn't have a right to talk about politics because that was not their lane. And then she jumped from one campaign to the next, and it seems like they only grab her, like you said, because she's that slave catcher that's going to corral us all in.
Oh, she's a slave catcher, man. She's disgusting. I saw her on the news today, Diane, and it said, look, be honest. So be honest. When they asked her, well, what's going to happen in New Hampshire? You know what's going to happen in New Hampshire. You know Biden's going to wind up in 4th or 5th place. And you know he's going to wind up in 4th or 5th place because he's being rejected by the electorate. And at the same time, he's being kicked to the curb by the Democratic Party. She's having meetings with them, telling them to keep him on life support. Please don't throw him away. You know what the hell is going on, Simone Sanders.
Yeah, because she's trying to save her own butt. So in the feed, I'm on YouTube. Roman movie says, and then after voting, you have to stay involved to make the person you voted for do the things that they promised. That's absolutely true. You can't turn away and say, "Oh, I voted you in. Now go off and do it." You got to be a part of. You got to continue with the process. Right,
but you know what you can. So who is that in? Whoever that was in the feed. Here's the deal, right? So you can hold at the local level those folks accountable, and those folks are supposed to transfer that pressure up the ladder, right? So your congressmen, your senators, all of those people are supposed to be pushing up to the presidency to make sure that that person who's sitting in the White House in the Oval Office is doing what they're supposed to do. Now, from your congressmen and your senators, your mayors and your governors, they're the ones who push your congressional representatives and your senatorial representatives to do what they're supposed to do, and your council, right? Your council and your district leaders are supposed to be pushing the mayor to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do, and your block association president is supposed to be pushing the district leader. That's the way it's supposed to be happening. But when we bypass all of that, and you want to just focus on the president, and you don't want to, we talked about down ballot, right? And when you don't want to focus on the down ballot stuff, that's where the action is. It's in the down ballot stuff. That's what got Donald Trump acquitted. The down ballot voting that they did in the Republican Party. The Senate saved him. Right. You see? The down ballot stuff. So if you're not doing the down ballot stuff, all of the crap that you want to have done, and the only thing that you should want is economic and political power. Nothing else. Because without that, you get nothing.
Absolutely. A big thing is, like we talked about before, there has to be more civic education amongst us all so that we can understand what's going on. In the feed, on the other side, Dre is talking about, I will only vote for capitalists. Socialists and progressives don't understand money. Socialists, progressives, resolution to everything is new and raising taxes.
Okay, so, all right. That's ridiculous. That's
their thing.
Literally, that is ridiculous. So capitalism, so I'm going to ask you, where's capitalism gotten this country, right? When you look at the data, where's capitalism gotten this country? When you look at Skid Row in California, when you look up in Seattle, when you look all in Newark, when you look at the number of people who are homeless, when you look at the number of people who can't afford health care, when you look at the number of people who have to work 2 and 3 jobs, right? Where's capitalism gotten us? So listen, I'm not a socialist, but I'm not naive either. And so what I do understand is that you need a hybrid, right? You need democratic socialism, right? Because if we were pure capitalists, and Kevin and I broke this down yesterday, if we were pure capitalists, you wouldn't have any goddamn libraries. You wouldn't have any public schools. You wouldn't have any institutions or anything that was paid for by the general public. Caller, go.
Hey, good morning, Diane. Good morning, Eric. I want to say, Eric, I'm a capitalist, but I got to admit, the person that made that statement, that was a little crazy. First off and foremost, you don't vote strictly because of one thing. You have to look at the absolute best candidate. So when a person says, I'm not going to vote for a socialist or a liberal, if a socialist or a liberalist can get you where you need to go, then that's who you should vote for. Right? And you don't just say, well, it can only be, saying it can only be a capitalist is like saying, I'll only vote for Democrat or I'll only vote for Republican. You have to be free enough to understand that anyone can come with what you need today, and that might be who you need to work with. That's always it. Always, so whoever that was, keep an open mind, brother. Work with who is going to work with you. And it isn't always necessarily a capitalist, because you got capitalists who just want to create a monopoly and eat for themselves and don't care if nobody else.
Thank you. I mean, and that's part of this, right? That we have so gotten into labels, Farrakhan, that we don't pay attention to the nuances of things. So, like I said, if I were to say, you know what, I'm down 100% for capitalism, then you know what, then you would literally. So if you have 99% of the people who are suffering now, and if you had no democratic socialist program, so you got rid of Social Security, you got rid of Medicare, you got rid of Medicaid, you got rid of the tolls and bridges, and so only the people who could afford, see, because this is capitalism, right? Only the people who could afford to cross over the bridges and stuff, who could afford the roads, who could pay high enough in taxes, could ride the roads. Because a lot of those people, because think about the people who need to go on those roads, but they don't have jobs. Right? So they wouldn't be able to go on the roads. The people who can go into a library and get a book. Well, if you don't have a job and you don't have the money to help pay for that library, because it's being paid for with taxpayer money, and if you don't have any money, so you're not paying any taxes, then you shouldn't be able to use the library. I mean, so is that the road we're going down when you talk about capitalism? Explain what you're talking about. See.
Well, again, I said we need more civics education, because I don't think people completely understand.
Right, we do, but so here's the challenge with, and I agree, Diane. We do need more civics, but you don't want those folks who are in power don't want to educate the people who were powerless. So the idea of having civics that are now going to show you how you're being rooked by your government, they're not going to do that.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that they should do it for us. Again, it comes back to us as people and individuals. We have to do our own self-education, because if the ruler is not going to give us the rules to the book, because if we knew the rules to the book, we could eliminate them. We have a lot of information now, but we just don't step forward to do anything with that information. Sid Webster says in the feed, we're headed for apartheid like South Africa had.
Yeah.
To some degree, you know what? To some degree, we probably are if we're not already in it. To something, Diane. But you said something very interesting when you said, the rulers won't give us the rules of the book or something to that effect. The truth of the matter is, the rulers don't have any rules. The only rule that the rulers have is state ruling. Yeah. So they will change the rules. See, and that's what we learned by the civil rights movement, because they changed the rules. Once we got the book, right? Once we got into the situation where we thought we were going to get equal education, where we thought we would get equal civil rights, they said, you know what? Well, we can change these rules. We can change how education is in this country. Then your education will never be. Yeah. So, like Eric says, we have to seize the power. But remember, the word seize means to take by force.
You got to take it by force. Listen, you got to take it by force. But this is exactly what the ruling class in the Democratic Party is doing right now. they are they in order to maintain power, because they see it slipping, right? They saw it slipping in 2016 when 1.4 million black folks off ramp. They said, I'm done. I don't trust you. I don't believe in you. Obama lied to us. You lied to us. We're done, right? So now, in order for them to seize power, and look, they may have to take one step back to move two steps back to move one step ahead, and that is that they'll sacrifice, right? So in a chess game, you sacrifice the rook to still get the mate. So the sacrifice would be this particular election, knowing what? That Donald Trump will be out in 4 years. Donald Trump will screw it up enough that they'll be able to bring any Democrat they want in. And beyond that, they'll be able to look at a guy like Sanders and say, well, now see, he's way, way, way too old. I want you to understand what's going on. When
they screw up like this, like you talked about before, that down ballot, everybody's paying attention to Trump, and this is when the Democrats will slide in Joe Schmo, who is got a heart monitor on him, laying up in the hospital, and he'll be running for governor,
right.
And he'll slide right in because people are not paying attention because they're so busy looking at the top of the ticket.
But here's the thing: you can control. Look, I'm gonna tell you this, right? Because you saw it happen. Obama couldn't appoint a Supreme Court justice. Why? Because McConnell blocked him. Why? Because those people on the Republican side, they focused on down ballot. See, you understand what I'm saying? So Democrats had the president, but we all acknowledged that there were things he couldn't get done. Why?
Right.
Because they focused on down ballot. So it doesn't have to be about Trump. You can check that presidency by voting down ballot. Come on, people. Get on code. But see,
I'm gonna hang up, but before I hang up here, I don't mean to change your subject.
Come on.
I just want to say, I figure tomorrow when Kevin's on, you're gonna do your review on that documentary.
Oh no, I'm gonna talk about a little bit of it now.
Have your gloves on,
Listen, no.
I watched it all. I watched it all, and I hated all 6 episodes. So we're gonna be boxing a little bit.
But we're gonna
definitely gonna be boxing with Kev.
No.
Called me up Saturday, like, watch it. Man, I'm ready to box with him about this one.
Yeah.
I'm feeling some type of way.
Okay,
so
we're
we're
saying
gonna wait till tomorrow so we can have a full cool like conversation.
Please wait, because I didn't finish. I didn't get through the first one yet.
Wait a minute, you didn't see it, Diane?
I'm gonna watch it tonight.
All right.
When you get on vacation mode, excuse me, Diane, can you get out of vacation mode and get on it?
Well, listen, this is what I'll say, Farrakhan, I'm not going to go into it too deeply, right? And what we're talking about, people, is Who Killed Malcolm X, the documentary or the movie or whatever it is that's on Netflix. Now, the majority of people that they were interviewing and stuff, I know those people, and I'm sure you know.
I love some of those men.
You know a lot of them too, right? Right. And so when I was younger, I was in the Nation of Islam. I was at 25B on Bergen Street, right? A bow tie, parting the hair, selling beam, the whole bit. My father had me involved in that. And in the entire time that I was involved in it, because I was reading the Quran, it didn't jibe, right? What was happening there wasn't in line with what I was reading in the Quran. And so I hated going. And I posted on a thread this morning. I said, thank God my father became more enlightened and he extricated us from there. Listen. Yeah.
Commercial break.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll talk to y'all later.
Listen, man.
But Diane, get on and get out of vacation. We got a couple more days. Can you get on it, please? So we can have this
Listen.
I'm on it tonight because I really want to deep dive into it as well. And for me, it's good because you guys know the people. I don't, so now I can really ask the questions like a real outsider, like why this and all of this, like what was going on at that particular time. So
yeah, at the end of the day, I'll say this. It was, and you see it in the documentary, but if you know, you know. It was about the worst inhumanity came out, and it overrode the decency that Islam calls you to. Yeah, I'm biting my lip again. But
you got it. It's a really complicated thing, right? Like, you know, when we finally have the discussion about it, it's so complicated because it does take away the decency. But then there's the nature of man in it also.
No doubt. But you know what you got out of it? See, I gotta go here. But you know what though? But here's the piece of it. Here is the piece of it for me. Out of all of it, Islam produced a brilliant prince. The best of Islam produced a brilliant prince that then was juxtaposed with the devil himself. And the devil used everything it could to kill off what Islam had produced. You saw in Malcolm it was incredible, man. I watched the first three. I don't need to listen. Let me finish. I don't need to, I'm gonna watch the other ones. But Diane, I lived it. I was in it, right? And what was occurring was, if you ever saw somebody, and I wept last night watching it, because if you ever saw somebody who saw the absolute truth and then began to live unashamedly by that truth and was heartbroken when he realized that everything around him was a lie, was all a lie. And then the liars.
Now, see, this is where we're going to be boxing. So
and then the liars.
So we can box with it later.
We're going to box on it later then. But then the liars, in order to cover up the lie, had to kill the truth teller. You see, he didn't lie. He wanted the best for the people. He took nothing in return. Just wanted to pour out of his very soul based on what had occurred in his life. Right? Being the scoundrel he was, doing all the dirt he did, going to jail, spending that time in that cell, and then receiving Islam. And understanding the transferring or the transformative power of it. And wanting that for humanity. Right? And in the beginning, right, he wanted it just for black folk. But then when he did his Hajj, he came back and said, wait a minute. It's not just, he transformed again. And he wanted that transformed him for humanity. But because you had other people who were selfish, right? And they wanted for themselves, and they ran the risk of being exposed because truth always comes to light. They had to kill him. But we'll talk about it more. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we definitely going to talk about it tomorrow.
Man.
Just get your boxing. Look, have your armor on, your boxing gloves.
Oh, look, I got my armor on. I got my armor on right here. I'm ADOS.
That's what it is. All right, Assalamu alaikum. I'll talk to y'all later.
Wa alaikum assalam. So listen, we're gonna take these commercials, and now I'm all
fired up. Well, I got something to keep you fired up when we come back from this commercial.
We'll be right back, guys. Please hit the share button. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks so much. Hit the share button. Share the show. Let everybody know that we're here.
Do you have loss prevention or safety concerns? Black Belt Security and Investigations has armed and unarmed guards that can protect what is important to you. For security you can count on, visit www.bbsillc.com or call 1-800-493-1859 today.
It's time to turn up the heat in your house or apartment. So here are some fire safety tips from Diane L. Murray Insurance Agency to keep you warm and safe this winter. Don't overload your electrical outlets. Keep flammable items away from fireplaces and space heaters. And put a fresh battery in your smoke detector. Turn to Diane L. Murray Insurance Agency for your home and renter's insurance, or bundle it with your auto insurance and save. Call 908-686-4609 or visit dlminsurance.com today.
BBSI. BBSILLC.com.
Hey, Diane.
Yes, sir.
You like my hat?
I like that hat.
Listen.
I heard that you got multiple colors.
Hey, listen. So I'm going to say this real quickly, and we'll figure it all out, because I believe that we need economic power. We need focus, right? And in trying to do this and come up with solutions, because people say to me, Eric, well, what's the solution? So I got another solution. So my solution is that we get on code, we understand, know thyself, right? And one of the things that I've got a lot of people who've been requesting the hats that I've been wearing. They haven't seen the sweatshirts. Well, Farrakhan did, and I posted a picture of the one that Farrakhan has, and a couple of people have purchased them. We'll be selling them more broadly shortly. But one of the things that I'm working on trying to do in the spirit of know thyself is to create a page or something to be able to sell the merchandise with the purpose of taking some of the proceeds. And I want to take some students. I've got a lofty number, so I'm trying to figure it out. Anybody who wants to help me organize this, just inbox me, because what I want to do is try to take 100 kids. I want to take the proceeds from these shirts and hats and everything that I'm developing, and I want to take them to Alabama, to the Legacy Museum on slavery and incarceration, because it's important that they know themselves and they know how America sees them and they know what America's done to them. If we are to truly say that that we need to begin to socialize our own children, that we need to re-engineer them, if we are really looking at these books that we're reading, right, and understand the language in them, the miseducation of the Negro, right, the Willie Lynch letter, we understand all of these things. Well, we have these museums that are here. We have the one in Washington, we have the one in Alabama, and there's some more out there. But part of the challenge is that our children don't have exposure.
Absolutely.
Right? And so what I want to do, and I think it's doable, guys.
Oh, yeah.
To be able to say, listen, a portion of the sale of this merchandise, it'll do two things. It creates the iconography, know thyself, foundational Black Americans, American descendants of slavery. And that doesn't mean, right, that you can't be, like Farrakhan said, I'm over here too. But understand what ADOS is. And you could be ADOS and this too, right? You don't have to be exclusive. You can have, rights to reparations based on the claim that ADOS is making, and then have this other claim as well. But there's a very specific claim that American descendants of slavery are making.
Right.
But anyway, so anybody who wants to participate, because right now I'm working on putting the proposal together. I'm looking at what the total cost would be to get the necessary transportation. We're going to go down by bus. I would love to have them stay overnight, right? So after leaving the museum, I'd love to take 50 young men and 50 young women. and then after leaving the museum, go out to dinner, where the young men would dress in ties and jackets, and the young women would dress appropriately, and then we can just have a conversation about that experience. Have them stay overnight in a hotel in Alabama, and then have the bus ride back. Now,
I think that would be great. That would be great.
Right?
Now, they're building a historical site in Cape May, New Jersey, as one of the places as to where Harriet Tubman came when she was coming across the Mason-Dixon line, one of the areas that she stayed in. So they're building that here in New Jersey. And, of course, they have the museum down in the harbor as well. They have a black museum there as well. Yeah.
Right. So my thing is this. This is where we now, right? People look for solutions, look to get involved. This is where we can get involved. And I believe this. If you can have a guy who makes a decision that he wants to support Donald Trump, so he starts a GoFundMe page and is able to raise $20 million. I'm asking, how much can we raise to do some constructive things for our community and for our young folks in terms of re-engineering their thinking?
Absolutely.
Right? So, come on, you said you were going to keep me fired up, Diane.
So, this one is a viral video. I'm sure many people have seen it. If not, I'll post it on my page. I'll post it on my Instagram page. So you have to go follow me on my Instagram page, dlminsurance.com. on Instagram. And the viral video is of a exotic dancer, falling from the top of a 15-foot pole in Dallas at the strip club, falls to the bottom of the pole because she's trying to do some trick, falls, hits the ground, the stage, and continues to keep on going. So part of the article talks about if this was a Mamba mentality was applied to this exotic dancer when this woman did the stripper's equivalent to Kobe Bryant, sinking a pair of 3 freeze-throw shots and tearing his Achilles heel.
So they liken Kobe Bryant to
they're linking the Mamba mentality of her falling from the top of this pole, hitting the stage, and continuing to dance, even though she probably is severely injured. That's what they're talking about.
Yeah,
so you have to see the video.
Right, but so all right. Here's my thing. I don't mind them, and we have to be sensitive. See, I'm not gonna let people tell me, "Oh, don't be so sensitive." No, I'm very sensitive because I understand language, I understand iconography, I understand imagery, I understand subtleness, I understand all of that stuff, right? So now you got a stripper. You got a stripper who's on a pole, right? She falls, she almost breaks her coccyx, and they want to liken that to Kobe Bryant's determination on the basketball court. I think that is despicable.
No, that's not. No, listen, I'm not being funny. Okay, but let me say this clear as a bell. She is as much a stripper pole champion as Kobe Bryant is an NBA champion. That girl fell off that pole face first, and she didn't stop, miss a beat. She could get my father. I'll make it rain all day for something like that.
No. I'm not suggesting. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that she didn't have sheer determination. I'm not suggesting that she didn't show some athleticism.
That being a stripper, right, means that you can't have respect, like the same respect that a basketball player has. There's some people that are gonna be like, "Nigga throws a ball in a basket hoop, and he gets respect." That's what somebody could say about Kobe because he could throw a ball.
No.
In a hoop. Right? That woman climbed up a 15-foot pole. My fat behind can't do it. How about you?
No. Listen. Again, if I could, I wouldn't tell you on this show.
You know how to make it drop, what they say, drop it like it's hot. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to take that from that girl.
Fair time, you remember
that girl is a champion.
When you had to climb that rope, I couldn't climb that rope.
And I ain't never climbed it. I played football, basketball. I ain't never managed to climb that damn rope. So I don't know how she climbed that slippery pole. But when she fell, she did all right. She did all right by me.
Yeah.
I ain't mad.
No. I listen.
I'm just going to say, I I think that any professional, and she's a professional, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what she does. She tries to be good at it, right? And, you know, or excel at it. She felt, I don't think that we should take the position that, oh, you can't compare her to Kobe because Kobe's a great athlete. I think you compare greatness is greatness, right? And it doesn't matter what you're great at.
Do you know, Farrakhan, where he came up with Mamba? Did you know where he came up with that? Calling himself Mamba and all of that?
No, I don't. I have no clue.
Okay, so I read an article, and it happened actually after the incident with him being accused of sexual allegations, that he said that he had to transcend himself into something that he thought was great to get out of the situation he was in, to mentally continue his career and to live his life. So that's when he took on the Mamba mentality.
Okay.
Because apparently it's a very large, strong African snake.
Right. And so, again, I just, you know, for me, I think you run the risk. This is just me, right? We disagree a lot on the show, right? But you run the risk of marginalizing and diluting something that I think had a much more significant meaning, right? And
well, I think what they were trying to associate with is with the Mamba mentality. Mamba mentality was actually started with Kobe Bryant. So you can't talk about the Mamba mentality without inserting Kobe Bryant's name, because if you read the article,
right, but my question is, but my question is this. But there's so many words, right? There's so many words in a dictionary that could adequately describe her fortitude, that could adequately describe her stick-to-itiveness, that can adequately describe her grit, right? Can adequately describe all of those things. The question that I want to ask is this.
It's pop culture. It was a pop culture.
Right. Mamba is a pop culture thing. It transcends even greater than Kobe Bryant at this point, especially after his death. Absolutely. Right? Like, there's going to be a lot of things that people say, that's the Mamba. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a part of pop culture now. So her falling and then keeping up with it, that's the Mamba.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, a lot of people are going to start referencing
I'm telling you, I just think but I just think that there's some things we should work to protect. Hold on, we got another caller. Caller, go.
Okay. Hey, what's happening, guys? I like Diane's hair. Looks nice.
I know. Check it out. Look at you made her blush.
Can I go back a little bit before I talk about the Mamba mentality?
Sure.
I want to go back to the brother who said he wanted to vote for it. He could only vote for a capitalist. The capitalists, most people think the Civil War was about freeing slaves, but it was the capitalists who couldn't afford to pay wages in the North, as opposed to the capitalists who had free labor going on in the South. The North couldn't compete. So what the South, what the plantation owner did, what the capitalists in the South did, was convince poor people to fight his war for them. And he told them, you too one day may own the slaves, so fight for me. And he got a bunch of poor people to fight his battles. And you know, it's not about the voting for a capitalist. This is not a business. We are all socially tied together with our tax dollars. You know what I mean? So when you go against that, you allow the capitalists to use your tax dollars better than it being socially used amongst us. But that's another thing. But it's going into the mentality of Kobe. It's not about us voting for a capitalist. It's the environment. It's environmental issues against capitalistic models that is destroying the planet. This is where we are right now. This is how, going forward, we must decide who we give our vote to. Do we want somewhere to live and have a quality of life, or do we want to be devalued to a point where we can't exist? But going to Kobe's mentality from an environmental perspective, I guess with her arena on the pole up there and people being in the she took a fall and got up and came back like like Willis Reed, somebody coming out of the locker room. But that was the funniest. I've seen it in a long time. She came off the top of that pole. I had to watch it. I was like, what am I watching? Then I see her flap down onto the stage. I was like, yeah. She kept her composure on that one. But you guys have a great day. I'm going to sit back and listen.
Thank you very much for the call, brother.
I mean, it's the same when I saw Chuck Rock for the first time. He performed at Ramapo College when I was in college. He fell off the stage, popped up, and kept going. And the crowd just kept going with him. It's that Mamba mentality. That's all I can say, Eric.
Well, again, I just think that, and maybe I'm being too sensitive. Look. I have a right to be sensitive, and I'm going to be sensitive. I just think that there are certain kinds of things that we ought to look to preserve as being something, and we can have the debate as to whether or not this is one of them, right? But we should have a mentality, I believe, where we look to preserve some things in a space that says that we revere them. And so
are you telling me that Mamba can't be used again?
Well, I don't know. Well, look right now.
Because
right now, listen, I'm a little sensitive, given what Gayle King did, right? Given what and now you tell me about some stripper who No, not some stripper. She's an exotic dancer, and that's her profession. You can't degrade her because of what she chooses to do. A stripper. Wait a minute. Wait. A Hyundai. Listen. A Hyundai is a car, just like a Maybach is a car. The Maybach's just a more expensive car, but they're still cars. So they're both strippers. You can call one an exotic dancer, the other one a stripper. Both of them make it their profession, meaning that that's how they make a living. So
There's also what do you call it? The right what do you call it? The right way that you're supposed to use the term, because you can't call a secretary anymore. They're executive secretary, so you can't call. You have to call them custodian. So there's appropriate words for appropriate times. And as
wait a minute. Wait. So that young lady, are you telling me? Wait a minute. Are you telling me that young lady is an exotic dancer, but the woman up on 18th Avenue is a stripper? I'm saying she dances exotically too.
Hold up. Hey, that's the point. Right there, that not all strippers do it like that.
That's right.
So check it. Have you seen the new Hyundai? You see that new Hyundai that they say they
it's over $100,000. Yeah. Oh, that's listen. That Hyundai's a beautiful Hyundai.
We ain't comparing, because sometimes when you think you're comparing apples and oranges, actually you dead smack on. Right? You just going Granny or Granny Smith or Green Apple or whatever. Right? Because in the end, it's the same. So no. The reason you can say, give her that Mamba mentality props is because maybe the chick that's doing it at Slicks wasn't doing it like that. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't drop it from the 15-foot pole, and then still she dropping it like it's hot. Right? But this girl, she did it. So you gotta let's not get so in our I don't want to say righteous selves that we're gonna disregard a legitimate profession. Right? Now, they make it look bad. They try to make these women look like pariahs who prey on men. Right? They make movies like that one with the girl that did the Super Bowl thing. Right? But in the actuality, there's some women that use it to elevate their lives.
Right. So,
they feed their children. Right? And so, I'm not going to, and understand, I ain't been to a strip club in I don't know how many years, but I can't just not go, listen, you're a bad chick to even just get up in front of a bunch of dusty dudes like me and want to shake it. So, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll give you a salute for that. Because how many, you got women so shy, they won't even shake it for their man.
So, I will say this. There is a difference between a stripper and an exotic dancer, and I would definitely say that. But as you look in other communities, you got that agency, that website agency, Ashley Madison, that are high class hoes.
All right, wait a minute. Let me ask you. Okay, I didn't want to get into this too. I don't want to get into this too much, but look, we can create these classifications if you want, right? But I think you have exotic dancers, and you have some who are good and some who are bad. And if you want to call the bad exotic dancers, you want to label them as just strippers, I guess you could do that. But I'm saying they're just exotic dancers. You got some good exotic dancers, you got bad exotic dancers. You know. So anyway, I
got you. So the next thing I saw, my cousin posted this crazy post this morning.
What?
About how she woke up in the middle of the night. She thought she saw something or someone standing in the middle of the floor. She jumps up out the bed, realizes it's not a person. She gets her stage and starts staging the room. Well, come to find out, her son has now been a part of this broom challenge. And this broom challenge is standing a broom up to see how long it can stand before it falls down, which literally almost gave her a heart attack in the middle of the night.
You know what? Listen, I want black folks. I'm going to give you a challenge. Read a book. Post that on Facebook. Post that on YouTube. Post that on Instagram. Read a book. It's crazy. The only challenge that I did, I thought it was a good challenge, was the ALS challenge. Remember the bucket challenge? I thought that was a great challenge, and I participated in that. The rest of these challenges, I mean, some of them are quite dangerous, right? Where they were eating cinnamon or something, right? And then choking, and and then there was another challenge where they were trying to. Were they trying to jump out of a moving car or jump into a moving car or something?
Jump out and do the dance or whatever. Yeah.
Right. So listen, my challenge is this, and I want to see how many people do it. So I'll do it first, and then I'll post it, and then I'll challenge 5 people to do it, and I'll call those 5 people out, and then those 5 people, when I challenge you, turn your Facebook Live on, start reading a book, right, while your Facebook is live. And then while you're reading the book, challenge 5 more people, and let's see how far that challenge goes.
Well, I think you've already been beat to the punch because Mayor.
Diane. This sore in my mouth is there because I've been biting my lip, and now you're getting ready to open a topic that I really don't want to talk about. Do it.
So let's go on to the ordinance that they're trying to get passed by the Senate, that they're trying to make it mandatory for the landlords to tell you whether you have lead in your tap water. It's interesting because the bill S968, and people could Google it so you can look it up, in New Jersey Senate, which has already passed the Senate 39-0, would also speed up the timeline for when officials have to notify residents about dangerous amounts of lead. It still needs to be voted on at the State Assembly House before it can head to the governor's table for signature. But what it doesn't include is they said that the residents will also be told how the water has been measured, how they can protect themselves. While water may travel for miles from treatment plant to your home, lead generally enters the water in a few feet before your street and the faucet. That's when the water moves through garden hose size service lines, some of which are centuries old and made of lead. What they did talk about was they will notify. The current regulations require landlords to warn new renters about lead. They do not require regular updates of long-term tenants. So I think there has to be something put in place that there's a continuous thing, the same way when you purchase a home, you have to reveal whether there's lead paint in the property or if it's been removed or whatever the status of it may be. Should be the same thing, and we talked about this over a year ago. The same thing should be done with the purchases as well as the renters, to let them know about the lead water, what the levels are, what the status is, and what's being done to eradicate it.
Oh no, listen, I think that anything that you can do, there's 0 safe levels of lead. I'll say that again, 0 safe levels of lead. So even when they say, well, we notified you, they notify you because it's reached the actionable level, right, which is 15 parts per billion. but there's 0 safe levels of lead. And so anything that they can do, and this is a no-brainer for me, right? Anything that you can do to ensure the safety of citizens is something that the government should be working to do, right? I mean, it's a no-brainer. So I think that every landlord should be required to notify not just new tenants, but old tenants. There should be a regular report that comes out. I think that landlords should be, so are they saying that landlords would have to test their water, or is the water, so how's the testing going to go?
They would have to test it to know whether there's an issue, but either way, they would have to let them know about the lead levels in their tap water. So the water would have to be tested for them to give them that information. But it does not go into detail as to who is going to monitor that. Is that something that's a part of the lease that they're going to sign off on? Who is going to regulate it to make sure that it's done in a timely fashion or continuously? That information is not given in this particular article, but I can do some additional research and find out.
Right. Well, what I would say is this. Firstly, there's not enough manpower right now. There's not enough organizational structure within the government to be able to do this effectively, though it needs to be done. It is inevitably going to cost money to do it, right? You're going to have to create a department or expand a department. You're going to have to give some additional training to some people, and then you're going to look for the patronage jobs that are going to come as a result of it. So all of that is going to be what's going to happen. You're going to create a cottage industry as a result of this. Having said that, I believe that that folks need to be protected. And I guess off the cuff, Diane, if you ask me, I would like to see probably quarterly, right? Probably quarterly, the landlord would have to send an inspector in to check the water levels, right? And then based on the findings, report it within that allotted time that is proposed in this legislation, all right? But then you would know that there's going to be a quarterly report of the lead findings, and then once the landlord does that, a copy should go to the tenant. And then that data should also, I would bypass, but see, this requires a level of acumen that doesn't exist in the government. Because what I would do is create an enterprise system, right, where you could now log in as a landlord and you could put in your property, right, and then you would put in that information. Now, if you put the information in and it reached an actionable level, it would automatically send a notification to the appropriate person to take the necessary action, right? So you're not making a phone call, you're waiting on hold, that person's got to walk down a hallway with a piece of paper to tell somebody. That's how our government currently functions. And it should function differently. Call or go.
Hey, just calling back in, giving my suggestions. You already have a health department that should, I'm sure it's going to have some additional cost to it, but you already have health departments that are not working in the best interest of the people. I think that's just my personal opinion. But from the health department, I can see that being feasible. But it has, like you said, either quarterly or yearly, a yearly test to assure that there's no impurities in the water that people are rinsing.
Yeah, I mean, I think
doesn't alleviate the homeowners, the private homeowners, and we're pandering to the poor of the poor. Who, I mean, not the poor, but renters, and everybody needs to be monitoring their water. I think. I mean,
look,
that should be
you get the tests from Home Depot for nothing. They're free, right? So you can get a free test. And
Eric, so the test from Home Depot, and I did one. They don't test for lead. They test for other.
No,
so you know.
Yeah, they don't.
Okay. Then my apology. Okay. So then, then wherever you get Yeah. See, so I guess
Yeah,
whoever.
a private agency. Like, for instance, they got an agency in Hillside that does water testing that you could go to.
Right.
But you have to.
What I think also is that the health department and most of these towns need to fire their engineers.
Absolutely.
Started with Newark, and speaking specifically for Irvington, they need to fire that joker as well. But between the health department and the township engineers, we need to, again, going back to a mentality that, makes when you elect your mayors and councils, they have to have a mindset between the health department and the township engineer that's going to take you into the future, not destroy your health and not destroy your property. But between those two departments, I see that where those tests can come out of in some kind of form that is notifying the people or having the water tested. But that's all. I just wanted to add that.
No. Well, I think those are all great ideas, but I think that it should be quarterly.
Okay.
At the
but
least.
The other thing that I also think that should be implemented, and part of this is, especially when you have a turnover in tenants, there should be some type of system put in place where these property owners that are renting their properties are required to have some type of water filtration system put on the property. I mean, it's clear that we know that the water coming from wherever the source is coming from could be clear or could be clean. But again, once it hits those pipes, they just said it, 4 feet from your house is where the corrosion is leaking in, then you should have some type of filtration system to combat.
Well, you know what, Diane? See, Diane, you know what? And this is very interesting, right? Because you have to get a CO in order to rent it, right? So you have to bring it up to code in order for it to be rented. So whatever the landlord has to do, he or she has to spend some money to get that property in shape. And so if you're saying bundle into that CO, right, a water filter, right? Because right now, in order for you to rent your apartment, you have to have smoke detectors and you have to have carbon monoxide detectors.
Exactly.
Right? So, and that wasn't always the law. They legislated that into law at some point, right? So you could legislate that into law. Diane, you know what? Sis, you you earned your vacation.
Eric, before I get off the phone,
yes, sir.
Seriously, I want to talk to you about your campaign and have some ideas as far as economic power and political power. Just sit down and have a conversation with you about that.
You know what I want to do, and I try not to use this particular show to talk about my candidacy too much.
I just,
but what I do want to,
I was going to call in Sunday, but you know what I mean. I was busy doing other things.
That's okay. But what I want to say to you, hold on one second, Mike. Caller, please hold. But what I want to say to you, Mike, is let's sit down and talk about it. Some other people who are part of the Informed class are involved in some of the things that that the campaign is putting together. One of the things that we're doing, Mike, and I don't know, how your social media is, but I've asked anybody who has any sort of influence through their Facebook page to schedule a time, a sit down with me to go Facebook Live on your page to interview me and have a conversation with me so that your audience gets to know me. So let's sit down and talk about how to do that. Anybody else who's part of the Informed class, and somebody asked me yesterday, say, hey, Eric, is there anything off limits that I can't talk about? No, I'm not that guy. All right. So anything that you want to talk about, anything that you think that the people who follow you on your Facebook page would want to know, I'm interested in talking about. So, let's work to schedule those things because, as Kevin said on the Sunday show, I've sent out press releases and such, and NJ.com and Spotlight and the rest of them have refused to pick up my press release. So, we have to hit the streets. But thanks for the call, Mike.
Oh, yeah. All right. Have a good one.
Call or go.
Hey, there might be a time delay, so I don't know, but the last thing I heard was you were speaking about how there are laws that say you have to have smoke detectors and fire alarms and so forth. The thing is, smoke detectors and fire alarms fires aren't the responsibility of the city. See, forcing landlords to let's say by legislation, unless they have a certain type of water filtration system for a responsibility of the city. Isn't, that's not appropriate. It's the responsibility of the city to provide proper water.
No.
So you can't negate that. Now, I understand that we might need, but the legislation should be for the city to provide those things and to go into those houses and to pay somebody to install them.
No, well, that's not true, Farrakhan. Wait.
Debate on this issue, right? You said that we've made it clear that it was the city's
Absolutely. It was the city's fault.
The deterioration problem. If that's their fault, again, you can't say, I messed your thing up, now you got to fix it.
No. But what I am saying, go ahead, Diane.
So what I'm saying is, to make it clear, is to make it the responsibility of the property owner to have it there. That does not mean that the city or the state cannot step in and say, look, we can partner with several different companies throughout the state to make it affordable for you, to provide rebates for you, so you're not out of pocket. But what we also have to remember, yes, it is the fault of the city who has caused this lead problem, but the problem affects everybody, and there are many layers to making it better. And one layer is them fixing it on their end with the cleaning up of the resource, or the water from the resource itself. The other part is the changing out the lead pipes, and the other part could be adding these water filtration systems, because every part is going to help enhance cleaner and better water. Go ahead.
Okay, I agree with that, but I think, the one thing you always got to remember is somehow it's the city's fault. So I think the burden needs to be on the government, right? Because we say that clean water is a right. So, and let's be clear, I'm not saying that lead isn't the problem, but right now we're talking about chemicals that's in these water, right? Chemicals that these filters don't fix, per se. Right? So the lead is one issue. But that's the issue that they are actually remediating. So I'm not even going to knock them for it, because they say they're remediating it, right? 6,000 plus people, properties done so far. So I'm not going to knock them for that. But at the same time.
But yeah, I'm not talking about the water filtrations that you put on your on the disposable ones, the reusable ones that they're putting on your faucets. I'm talking about the system that actually that connects to the water pipe, that hits the water pipe. So it's the water lead pipe from the city, it's the filtration system, then it comes into your house. So it's attached directly to the building. This is what I'm saying. And again, I can't say they're not going out there and they're making these changes to these lead pipes, but that's not going to be the complete resolution to all of this. I mean, because thinking about it, they're going to residential homes. How many businesses buildings have they been in contact yet that use water on a regular, like your business, like the hair salons, like the restaurants? When will they get to those buildings? That's important too. But
True. Very, very true. But I'm going to sit back and listen.
Thanks, Farrakhan.
Hey, Diane, I'm going to have to do something that's really bizarre, right? Because, there we go. Never mind.
Okay.
No.
What?
For whatever reason, I wasn't doing anything strange for some change. I was just...
Okay, so listen. So now, to take us on our way out to make you more mad, or excited or amped up, I read today in the NJ.com, the Trump administration is suing New Jersey, seeking an overturn of the immigration policy.
Good.
So what they're saying is, the U.S. Department of Justice filed a lawsuit on Monday that seeks to overturn the restrictions on New Jersey police and cooperating with federal immigration officers. Trump is stating that his administration said it has already joined in similar suits as well, saying that the complaints target rules created 2 years ago by the Attorney General Gruel that limit police in sharing immigration information to ICE, or Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Right. What they're saying is it restricts police and can unauthorized immigrants from turning them over to ICE and detaining them unless they have done something in regards to, already been on a list to be removed from from the country, or have committed a high crime of murder or something like that. What Trump's administration is saying is that the federal officers have been blocked multiple occasions from getting information about people who have been in the U.S. illegally, including some who have been charged or convicted of fraud, terroristic threats, or invasion of privacy. What are your thoughts?
Look, I think that people who are here illegally, see, it always starts with me there, right? If the person is not here legally, they're not here legally. They've broken the law. Why you have any law enforcement protecting a lawbreaker makes no sense to me. How do I explain that to my kid? How do I explain to my kid, you have to obey the laws. There are rules and there are laws, and you have to obey these laws. However, there are a group of people who are currently breaking the law, and the law enforcement officers who might beat you upside your head protects them. I can't explain that to them. And so if I can't explain it, it's not rational, right? So I think that if they are lawbreakers, they are lawbreakers. People can come into this country through a correct path, through citizenship. And so I can't even go beyond that. Like having a conversation beyond that, I can't. I have to stop there. And say to anybody who wants to have a conversation with me, and this is where, like, I'm not lock, stock, and barrel with the squad or with Bernie Sanders or with the progressive wing of the party, where they want to roll back all of those things and allow anything goes for illegal immigrants. That's not me. I believe that you have to obey laws or change the law. Get enough people, if you don't like it, to change the actual law. But the law right now says that you should come here legally, that there's a pathway to citizenship, and you should follow that pathway.
So, paraphrasing, Robert House is in the seat, and he's paraphrasing something about what I stated some time ago about motor vehicles and records being accessed. And that's exactly what Trump is trying to do. He's trying to overrule what New Jersey is doing so they can have accessibility to these drivers' DMV records. So now they will know exactly where you live, what your name is, and who else lives in that household with you, which is something they can't get now because New Jersey is blocking them from getting certain type of information. So when they went out and everybody ran down there who was an illegal immigrant to get a valid driver's license, now if this is overturned, they can kiss the driver's license goodbye, they can kiss New Jersey goodbye, they can say goodbye to the United States, because he's coming for all of them. And I said this before. I said there's going to be a way, once you put them in the system, to monitor people. When you start monitoring the same Social Security number and anything else, when you start doing these things, this is a way to track you.
Yeah. Well, listen. But if you come here illegally, you should be tracked. We should know everything about you. You don't have any liberty. See, do you understand what I'm saying? When you come here illegally, we should know every single thing about you. All of the claims to privacy and that kind of stuff should be afforded to a citizen. But if you come here illegally, right, and we catch you, then yes, we should track. Well, we should send you back, right? We should send you back. Now,
there should be a program in place to help you with citizenship.
No, Diane.
That's it.
Diane.
That's
Diane, but Diane, listen. And I'm not. Look, I'm saying that there should be a correct pathway to citizenship. I'm not disputing that. But what I am saying to you is this: you cannot incentivize people to break the law, right? So if what you're saying is this, that you know what? If you happen to come across the border and you don't get caught and you make it here, right, then you score victory, and then we don't punish you, right? The example that we set is that we work to make you a citizen. Then what would happen is, and I'm not saying that there should not be a correct pathway to citizenship, but to have others look and say, you know what? Well, those people made it illegally, but once they made it, all was forgiven and forgotten, right? I don't think that you go down that path.
I think, for one, we need
Otherwise, let's tear down the borders. Otherwise, let's just remove the current immigration laws that are in place, because then they're just a forest.
Well, that's not true. We don't need to remove the immigration laws because the laws are put there in place to protect those that are here and to protect those coming in. But we should also stop referring to everybody coming across the border because they're not coming across the border as opposed to many as they have made media to think it is. The majority of people that come into the country are people who have come on planes and overstayed because they were here.
However they got here, Diane. If I go to Spain, you're going to Spain, right? You're going to Spain. You're going to Spain.
No. Yeah, I'm going to Spain, and I guarantee you I can't stay there because I don't look like them.
But that's my point, though. But that's my point. They're not gonna once you overstay the time that you're allotted time to be there legally, they will kick you out.
Well, they don't kick you out immediately. Like everywhere else, there's a process.
No, but the process is what? But what is the process designed to do? To send your ass home.
The process in the United States is a flawed process.
It is.
We all know this. However, that is the process that they should be trying to fix instead of doing these one-off hit bills to protect people when they don't protect the people that are legally here. The other question in the feed is, what role does the morality play in lawmaking? There is. The people that you elect have no morals. That's the problem. They don't care. They think about themselves. If they can convert all of these illegal immigrants into citizens and allow them the ability to vote in this election, they will do it and then snatch it back from them because they have no morals. So there are many people, not all, but most, don't have morals in politics. This is why you get the laws that you get because they're piecemealing stuff together. They're not proactive. They're always putting out fires, but they're putting out their own fires.
Caller, go.
So,
caller? Oh, did we get disconnected? I think the caller left. All right, caller, call back. Listen, Diane, I agree with you that they have no morals, right? They're self-centered. They're focused on, themselves, and that's it, right?
Maintaining power. Yep.
And maintaining power. Listen, I just saw something. Somebody sent it to me, and I think this is brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant, right? If, I'm going to say it again, the octave. If Michael Bloomberg really wanted to win this election, right? Why wouldn't he run as a Republican? I'm going to say that again. If Michael Bloomberg, right? Because here's an article. It says, if Bloomberg wants to buy an election, he should run as a Republican against Donald Trump, not sabotage the Democrats.
Well,
I would like to know. That's interesting. I never thought about that. Why wouldn't he? Because he wouldn't need to. He could raise the same amount of money. He could buy the same commercials. He could be in all of the states side by side with Donald Trump going to war with Donald Trump.
Well, I think, one, he has recognized, like some other people have recognized, and I watched the video the other day from the caucus when they were interviewing some people outside getting ready to go and vote, stating that they voted for Trump initially, but they weren't happy with what was going on, and they were looking at Democrats that they might vote for.
No, but I understand that. But why wouldn't Mike Bloomberg? But why wouldn't Mike?
There's more support on the Democratic side than he would get on the Republican side.
Wait a minute, no. More black people.
Of course.
See. More, see. So are you saying that Mike Bloomberg realized or believes that the white people would be too smart to vote for him? And that the black people might not be as smart as the white people? That what you saying, Diane?
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. But who knows? So we got the book. Did you talk about the state?
I didn't.
All right. I got the book right here.
Wait a minute. It's blurry because your monitor is blurry. Go ahead.
Can you see it now?
A little bit. Move it to your right a little bit.
Right?
A little bit to your right. A little bit more. Cover your face. Now back it up some. There we go. When affirmative action was white.
Well, When Affirmative Action Was Right by Ira Katznelson.
So Diane, what is the? Did you read any of it yet?
I'm going to start reading a chapter tonight, but mostly I'm going to read it on a plane this weekend because I have a paperback, and it's really not a long paperback. It's about 180 pages. So about 30 pages is references and stuff that was pulled from. So the book, we're going to read it. It's going to be due March 5th, the first Thursday of the month. Okay. We're going to discuss the book then. It should be a powerful. It's the untold history of racial inequality in the 20th century America.
Come on, caller, go.
By a Jewish white woman. I'm excited to read this.
Go, caller.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Hey.
Doing well.
Diane, you look beautiful, Diane.
Thank you, Kevin.
You look really beautiful, Diane. You get right to the show. Just finished doing what I had to do.
She looks like Rapunzel. Like a black Rapunzel, though.
Huh?
She looks like a black Rapunzel. The hair hanging down.
I just wanted to call and say that, guys. I'm just finishing up. So you guys go. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, man. Now. Thanks for calling in, Kev.
All right, bye-bye.
Rapunzel, okay.
So listen.
Rapunzel, let down your hair.
I used to read that to my daughters. They don't you talk about but I did not Facebook Live when I was reading to my daughters. I just did it. Go ahead.
Oh. You just did it?
I just did it.
Okay. Hair Love got a Oscar nomination. Did you talk about that? Hair Love, the book about the Matthew Cherry, who was a former NFL player.
Right.
He wins the Best Animated Short Award for Hair Love is the name of it in the 2020 Oscars. It's a book about him trying to figure out how to do his daughter's hair.
I think that you know what? Listen, can I tell you something?
Yes.
I told you that I used to have a cosmetology license, right? I told you that.
Yeah.
And I don't think my ex-wives would be upset with me saying this. But well, because both of my ex-wives were white, and so they both had very straight hair. So when my daughters, my first two daughters were born, their hair was very curly. Their hair was like the texture of your hair right now, a little curlier though, right? And so she didn't know what to do with it. I had no idea what to do with it. And so I was the primary person doing my daughter's hair. And so I could totally relate to him doing the hair. And then having to find the products, right, to be able to, like all of the, products to kind of relax the curls. I mean, natural products. But, you wash the hair and then you put the product in to kind of relax the curls so you can get the comb through it and the brush through it and do all the stuff. And then, so yes, I think that for every man that takes on the challenge of doing his daughter's hair, I think it is amazing. And it is a bond. It is an incredible bond. I enjoyed it immensely. And then, so that's all I got to say about that.
So, quick question.
Yes,
what was your masterpiece? Was it one ponytail, two ponytails?
Oh, Diane. No, Diane. Diane, I cornrow, I French braided, I did the curly twists, I did the ponytails, I did the pigtails. Oh, please. See, listen, we represented well. It wasn't just that one little poof in the back. Pom-pom. No.
You had no pom-pom.
No pom-pom. No. And they'll tell you. They would come and they would request. I had my bag of barrettes and ties and things, and I had my array of combs, right? Because you have to have the wide tooth comb and then the narrow. Diane.
Look, there is a.
Now, don't give me a relaxer to put in your hair because I'll burn your hair out. But
oh, Lord. No curls though, huh?
But I could comb the heck. And you know what? When I was in cosmetology, I was the They would have me wash the hair. Well, I did nails. That was my big thing.
You know, there's big money in nails now.
Diane.
I go online on Instagram trying to find one of these nail technicians that does all of these glamorous nails with the rhinestones and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
There's one girl on there. She's in, I want to say she's right here in Union on Morris Avenue.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go check her out. She's booked until next month.
Yeah. Listen. When I was in that business, I made a lot of money. In fact, this is when sculptured nails first came out. Right? And I mastered sculptured nails. And I think at that point, so this goes back, oh my gosh, Diane, this is just before I got married. So I was like 19, 20 years old. And I was getting $65 a set of nails.
I'm telling you.
Plus tip. Plus tip. Oh, listen. Diane, at 19, I was driving around.
Go take a class.
Diane, at 19.
I feel like I should take a class so I can save some money, do my own.
At 19, I had my own apartment at a beautiful two-bedroom apartment. And I had an RX-7, a red RX-7. Her name was Barbie. I was doing.
See, that was the problem right there.
That started it off.
That started it off on your quest. You should have had Shakira. Should have been her name. That's what it should have been.
I was gonna say something, but I get beat up on the show, so I'm not. But yes, it's a very lucrative, very lucrative.
It is. And you know what's great about that business? When everything else and all technology is taking over many businesses, there will never be a computer to do your nails. You ain't got to worry about that. So it's one of those businesses you can go anywhere, pick up, and make great money. Great money.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Yeah. Hey, listen, Diane, you look amazing.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you all for tuning in. Please hit the share button. Please hit the share button. And anybody who's interested, some other people have been texting me about the hat. Just hit me up. You can call this number that's on here, 908-481-5499, or you can inbox me, text me. If you want to help me begin to organize this whole thing that I want to do, sending these students to Alabama, if you want to be a part of this this thing, let me know, because I'm going to need some hands on deck to help me with organizing it. But I think that it would be a fantastic. Can you imagine if we could actually raise the money to send 100 kids to Alabama?
When you raise the money. And I will fly and meet you there, because you're going to need somebody on the receiving end to greet you when you come, because I'm not taking no bus for 15 hours. That's not happening.
They said 16 and a half.
Oh, that's just as bad. Even worse.
A lot of spades games, Diane. A lot of spades games. Listen, guys, thank you all for tuning in. I love you all very, very, very much. This is why I do this. And we'll catch up on tomorrow. Take care.
Have a great day.